A very good evening and a warm welcome. We took a break from this English explanation of yoga because what I felt was that it is very mandatory that you start learning the core of sadhana. The people who are new to my channel, please subscribe and share. It's very less often that you get a chance to know the authentic scriptures and the Sanatan Dharma truths. So anyone who is interested about the Sanatan, about how to get to realize yourself, how you can see God within you, and how you can learn from Him, please subscribe. So, in all our last episodes, as we have taught you, I have taught you the principles of the 8 limbs of yoga as was described by Rishi Patanjali. What Rishi Patanjali described was just a fragment of what Lord Shiv Sadashiv described to his first 7 principal rishis who were known as the Saptarishi. We still, the constellation also after their name, that the Saptarishi Mandal. So the Saptarishis were first being described about this total aphorism of yoga. It is over there only that Sadashiv says that yoga or realization is a matter of uniqueness. How one will learn, it will differ for the other. How we understand it is, suppose I am teaching a person a type of yoga. Now, that is for his self-realization. The person B will differ in a huge matter from the other person because both understanding to any matter has to be different. The constitution, the mindset of these both persons are different. Hence, we cannot take something in a generalized fashion. So, is it possible that in such an online dialogue, I teach you everything? It is a big no. So what am I doing over here? You can say, I am giving you some hints or some sutras as it is being termed from the eternal days. What I am discussing over here is how I have achieved the self-realization. And since I have achieved it, I believe, and I am experimenting in and day out fashion past at least 2 years of my guruism, that the people who I am helping in turn, they are also learning. So I believe that if someone follows what I am teaching, if someone understands, if someone can do the same experiment on them, they will also achieve at least a better version of whatever they are right now. Whatever we do, the self-realization itself is actually about finding the better version of yourself. What you want to learn, is how to make yourself better. And don't think that it is only for the spiritual aspects. No, my dear. You will be doing a huge mistake if you think it only like that. Because this particular enhancement of yourself is actually for each and every moment of your life, each and every relationship of your life. After I have completed explanation of samadhi, now you people know how to handle yourselves. So today we will be talking about the four major yoga, what we take into consideration for getting a better version of ourselves and making ourselves perfect. So when I am talking about that, learn one thing of on very specific level. This is the first thing. If you are doing only one of them, you will not be able to achieve anything. Yes, it is mandatory that you take into consideration each and every note of this. I'm sorry, I'm just getting some itches over here and it is really very anyways. So when we say that there are four types of major yogas, I have told you that what we are doing is, you can term it as Kriya Yoga, you can term it as Kundalini Kriya Yoga, but it is Kriya because it basically involves the non-ritualistic form. It involves you to sit, to go inside. But when I say this, is it like that you need not to perform the other things also? No. If you think that only the this form means this the knowledge part or only the kriya part will give you that a special experience of the bliss, it's not possible. A person who is spiritually inclined has to have logic, has to have bhakti, has to do some necessary mandatory rituals throughout the day, and above all, he has to have the knowledge how to make this all four work to his benefit. So when I say this, what do I interpret? There are basically four type of yogas: the bhakti yoga, kriya yoga, Gyan Yoga, and the Karma Yoga. When we say that in Gita, Sri Krishna is emphasizing on the Karma Yoga, well, again, we see in Gita the same person delivering about Gyan. Again, we see in other languages, in other scriptures, the importance of the Vedic literature, the importance of knowledge, the importance of your scriptures. But again we see that all these things are impossible if you don't have that devotion within your heart to reach out for your particular personal goal of enhancing yourself. Now, in this total spiritual quest, what I am saying day in and day out while talking with you people and clearing your doubts, that you people are going through each and every available formats of quests without knowing totally what they're offering. You are going through the advertisement, and after that, many of you are suffering. Over here, a very small thing I will say you in the foremost fashion. I have done it like that. First of all, follow your family tradition. Each and every Sanatan person has a family tradition of worshiping. Our scriptures says your first guru has to come from your tradition. Here, everyone, please mind one thing. Hinduism actually was never about division. Hindus never divided, not on basis of caste, creed, gender, and never for knowledge. No, we were divided just because. Just put your logic to one thing. Suppose it's a very old fashioned and a very old traditional, it's a very old story from the Panchatantras. A bundle of wood is always very hard to be broken. A single wood can always be very fragile. So if you are divided, then you are very fragile as a cultural community, as a traditional community, as people existing on a particular land. And if someone else comes from outside and they can scatter you out, what can they do? They can even take over your fortunes. They can take over everything that you have, even your life. This, I think, sum totals our present problem. As far as India right now is concerned, Bharat has lost its identity nearly 80%. That was what the Britishers did while giving 100 years lease of freedom. They knew 100 years will be more than sufficient to make a cultural community go barbaric. What they forgot was that our land, the land of Bharat, was actually being protected by the divine itself. This particular land phase was chosen by the divine aspects where they came down and they took birth as human beings. With phases, we have found out, even in scientific format, we have found out that before even the age of the caves, there were people who used to stay in this place. And perhaps right now, while the science is conducting the series of excavations and researchers, it is claiming that the knowledge of those times were so much enriched from what we have achieved till date. They were far better than what we are. They were far more knowledgeable. Their scriptures were highly enlightening. And what we come to know about our past was really, really so much divine, mystical, and magical. So where we are lacking today? We are lacking into seeing ourselves as less human. Yes, that's the main problem. We treat ourselves less human. We treat ourselves more as a machine. You take birth, you study, you earn, you grow kids, and you die. But was our life made for this? Or was our life made for something else? Our bhajans, folklores, what we sing every day, says us something else. We keep on humming them, but we never try to understand them until you are stuck, until you are hard, until you face the stress of your life, until you struggle. You do not find the divine. You do not quest even to search for him. You are doing worship. You are just doing this, or this, and you are going away. What is this? We are just settled on the top level of everything. We do not try to dive in. Whether it is studies, the students say, what's going to, the literals are not that specific. They do not help us in our future life. The academic books that we study, they never help us in our daily lives afterwards. So what is the main cause why we are doing so much of labor? To some extent, it is true. How it has become the truth? Because this education system, what we have today in this 24th century, is so very primitive. Yes, it is a primitive fashion. And literally, I think the government of India must emphasize in structuring a very new education system which will teach human values to our kids. Though it is the part and parcel of the parental teaching itself. The parents are the first teachers of the kids. Even if the kid is 2.5 years inside the house, they learn so much that when they come out from that house, they are already learned species in today's Gen X. The millennials still used to acknowledge parental guidance. The kids who are right now, they acknowledge only the online pattern of education, and they have more faith in the Facebook, WhatsApp university than what their parents say. It is very easy to feed them with some knowledge on the online segmentation, but it is very hard to make the parents sit with them and discuss something that is important in their future life. Each and every kid from 1.5 years, even below that, I have seen 3 months kid, they are addicted to the mobile. Until and unless they hear certain things in the mobile, they do not sleep. As a doctor, I have faced this. So how can you make things change? Because change has to happen from within your house. Yes, that is what even the Panchatantra or the age-old literatures has taught us. When does the king first start to donate? He donates to the queen first. When the queen is satisfied with his donation, then he donates to his prince and princesses. When they are satisfied, then he moves to his parliament. Don't you think, even today, it is all about the king and the queen? How? If you are the man of the house, you are the king of the house. If you are the woman of the house, you are the queen of the house. The son is a prince and the daughter is a princess. Even sometimes our pets are the princes of our house. I am. And she is sleeping. And she sleeps till the time I am doing this class for you. The things that I am saying you, it is something like a humming to her. I wish I could show you how she is sleeping. Anyways, so let's start with our own self and our own house. Let's give the twist of the 8 limb of yoga to our house first. And how are you going to do that? Well, just start implementing the same formats that I said you, that the yams, niyams, asanas, pranayams, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan and samadhi. Just start with them. Start with your yams. I know it is very difficult to instill the values to your kids. So don't do it. Don't preach to them, because the generation that we are talking about, they don't understand preaching. You got to understand this. They don't understand what you are preaching. But if you can practice it in front of them, if they see that you are changing, you are doing better, you are constructing a better something, some future for them, they will follow you. Yes, they think they were very cool, and they think that if the parents are cool, they can follow them. But you have to prove yourself cool these days. How you can? Start with ahimsa, non-violence. In today's date, how you are going to do the non-violence? Don't shout. First of all, that's the best non-violence that I can say you. Start remaining silent at the time when they are shouting. I am saying you something that happens in every household. Just follow these few things in your life and you will see your house to change. Whenever you are getting up, first thing, when you get up from your bed, practice few things yourself. Do the pranayam, do the asanas. They will see you doing it. You will first have to be persistent. You cannot make them understand this. Even if you say, listen what Mataji is saying, they are not going to adhere to you. Whatever you can say to them, no, they won't. But if they see you standing on your words, yes, you will have to perform your word. You cannot just throw yourself in the tantrum and just ask them or order them. You will have to do it fast. Show them how to keep your cool. Show them how you are silent in a breakdown point. They won't come back to you saying, I am depressed, I'm in stress. They won't come back. You're stressed? Start doing pranayam. You have a major problem in your house. Do 10 sets of pranayam and face it. Face it. Don't flee from it. We have a very tendency, we have developed a tendency where we always say, it's not my problem. Someone is having a problem, it's not my problem, they can deal with it. every problem is your problem. The moment you start making these groups, the moment you start sharing, it comes with caring, you will see there will be changes. First, you start going to the temple. You start taking initiative for each and every social problem. Learn to stand up for your rights. That is ahimsa. It is not non-violence. Actually, ahimsa means to understand better. You have to be kind first to yourself, then to your family, then to your pets, then to your society, and the world at large. The moment you start doing this, your every attitude will count towards a better version of your own self. What I am saying you, I have done it myself, and then I am saying you. I do not teach what I have not done. I am very, very perfect about that. I will never teach you something what I have not done with experiment, what I have not learned myself. I am not going to teach you. The next, being truthful. First, be very truthful to yourself. We hide each and every self-information from us. I'm having a stomachache. I will try to hide it. I hide it from my husband or my wife, then from my kids, then from my parents. Why this untruthfulness? You are in problem, so you can say it. Be vocal. Because kindness again comes up over here. You have to be kind to yourself first. You have to be truthful to yourself first. It is not just few words. It is a practice that needs to be a way of your life. Hinduism is not dharma. I always say Sanatan is the dharma and Sanatan is the way of life. It is not a religion. It is your way of life that defines you as a Sanatan Dharmi. You are not a Hindu because a Hindu is each and everyone who lives in the Hindu Kush area. Then comes Astya, that is non-stealing. What you are stealing? You are stealing the emotion of yourself. You are stealing when you are saying that, see, I don't belong to this. You are stealing the social value. You are stealing the time from your kids. You are working more. You are stealing your time for your kids. I have stolen it and I have regretted it to the core. I did work 24/7 for 23 years. But I failed to give enough time to my son, which I regret till today. When my father was on the deathbed, I took 5 days total leave just to be with him. He was murdered by some people. The people who saw me at that point of time, they know what we went through, how my family, everything changed in that phase of time. I learned a lot. I learned to be more kinder to myself, seeing my father suffering in that fashion. I learned to make a mechanism for myself, my own safety, just how he suffered. When I say the next step is brahmacharya, it is not about keeping your better half out of you. No. What is brahmacharya? Moderation. If I say it in English, moderation. Brahmacharya in a life of a sadhak means so many things all together. And sadhana has different parameters in every sadhak's life. The path he is following can be different. The form he is following can be different. The rituals that he is following can be different. But brahmacharya remains. It's a moderation, how you are doing to yourself. Brahmacharya does not always mean not having sexual relationship. There are many brahmacharis till date who do not have sexual relationship physically, but they are involved more sexually in their thoughts. Do you call them brahmacharis? I do not. Your thought process has to be truthful, has to be moderation with your own life. Then you are a brahmachari. If I expect you that you will be a brahmachari like Hanumanji was, Nastik brahmachari, brahmacharya, it's very tough. It's meant for the life of those who have already been something or who have given out that in a very small age. Everyone knows my son is a brahmachari. He tied himself when he was just 10 years. From 2012, I'm a brahmachari. So this 12 years, there had been no sexual thoughts, no sexual interactions. So the last 12 years has been a brahmacharya phase physically, mentally, or in the level of my soul. But into moderation, if you talk, from my 7th years, I was into my moderation. So I can say that I am a born brahmachari. The meanings that our Sanatan Dharma has, you will have to understand them till the core. Then only you will be very specific what they mean to you. There are certain word meanings that are so different from what you understand. But just because you are understanding something does not make Sanatan wrong, does not make Sri Krishna a Byavichari. What the hell you are speaking? There's a buzz of social media today where somebody is saying that you are making us bow down to a person who is a balatkari. You are talking to that person. You are talking about that person who is treated as the Yogacharya, as the greatest politician of his time, and the biggest fighter of his time. How can you? And if I say that this is not my problem, I am the biggest fool of this society. Yes, it is my problem when you are talking some shit about my own idols. Those are the personifications of the God and the Godheads. And you are trying to hurt the sentiment in the name of freedom of speech. You are insane. You are more barbaric than he was. And yes, it is the problem of each and every Sanatani. And each and every Sanatani must be heard as much as I am today. If we are setting ourselves on this social media platform, each and everything that comes up is our problem. When each and every Sanatani will tell this, that anything, any derogation that you make to our dharma is our problem, you will see, you stand collectively and you will see the Kumbh happening each and every city. Every city will be buzzing, every spiritual place will be buzzing with all the Sanatani people saying it is our problem if you think you can hurt our sentiments. Don't wait for the government to stand by you. Don't wait for the Sanatani gurus to stand by you. No, you yourself has to raise your voice. You yourself has to do a parigraha. That is self-reliance. There's a second yamas. Your generosity will give space to your own people first. Start it from your own house, then to the society, then to the other people, then to other religion, other faiths. They come the last of all. Don't say that we say Sarva Sukhina Bhavantu. So how can you say that the Islam is wrong or the gods are wrong? When we said Sarva Bhavantu Sukhina, there was no Islam, there was no Christianity. If there would have been, then we would not have had said this word on the first basic principle. You will never see any idol of ours, any god of ours, any demigod even, without a weapon in his or her hand. So how can you say that we are the most tolerant religion? No. Our dharma never teaches us ahimsa without a reason. And ahimsa does not mean that I am always going to tolerate. I tolerate when I am tolerated. I respect when I am respected. Learn to mold yourself. That is what is Sanatan. Sadashiv says, mold yourself according to time, according to space, according to where you are living. That is what is Sanatan. Sanatan is not about having some delusion. Sanatan is not about having ahimsa in such a way that someone hits your one arm and one cheek and you give the other. No. You try to raise your finger and I will break your hand. That is what Sanatan is. I never teach any of my people like that. I even have taught my pet to stand for her. You come to my house and you will see how ferocious she is when it comes to her own integrity. Because I have learned it that. And that is what the truth is. That is what Sanatan is. I am teaching you wrong? No, I am teaching you righteousness. I am teaching you what your actions has to be practiced to make yourself safe first, because that is what Sanatan is. If you are safe, you can make your kids safe. You can make your family safe. You can keep your society safe. If you are not safe, no one is safe. If you are not happy, no one will be happy with you. So don't care what others are doing. Just try to be yourself. We have forgot to be ourselves. We always try to please everyone around except our own soul. When you are pleased with yourself, you will see that all your relations are pleased with yourself. If you are really happy, then only you will be able to make others happy. And that happiness has to come from your core. If you are just going on giving up, emptying yourself, you will never be happy. Who said don't strive for wealth? Wealth gives happiness to a certain extent. Wealth means so much, and wealth is not only about money. Wealth is about knowledge. Abundance is about your knowledge, about your happiness, about the bliss, about the structuring of your brain, about your health. I think COVID has made everyone learn the importance of their own health. If you don't have health, your wealth is not going to give you anything whatsoever in this world. So be kind to yourself first. Be harmonious to the nature that you are living in. Learn to be kind to each and everything. But first, be kind to your own self. I was not, and I am paying for it today. I tried to be for others every time, but no one stood by me when I was in problem in 2012. No one stood except myself and my God. Obviously. That was my inner strength for which I am standing in front of you after 12 years. And I have made myself a better version of what I was in 2000. People who know me from that point of time will obviously say so. Because I believe that. I know that. So just leave everything and look focused to yourself first. Your quest is finding yourself. Realizing your own self, that will make you a self-realized person, a spiritual person in the truth of the sense. A silent person, a person who does not speak too much, is not very vocal, is the most strongest person of today's date. A person with the very small circle is a wise person because he knows who will stand by him or her when it matters the most in his life. He keeps only them with him. If you are not interacting with others just for the sake of keeping people with you, it doesn't mean you are antisocial. It means you know your society than others. If you are an unfriendly person, it doesn't make you someone who is not very cool. It makes you an intelligent person. You do not waste your resources. You do not waste your emotions for those people who do not matter to you, who are not your luggage and baggages. You don't have any social baggage with you. It's simply that. But does that mean that when others are in trouble, you say they have not come for me, so I won't go for them? No. If they're in problem, be the first one to be over there. That hits them. That makes them regret. That makes them see who you really are. Don't go over there when they're having fun. That doesn't make sense. But if they're in problem, be the first one to visit them, to stand by them and help them in each and every manner you can. Be it with resources, be it with money, be it with physically, be it whatever sense it that makes it. Just don't give them advice. No one hears to advice in these days. I might be sounding very strange. I might be sounding very wrong to you. But if you listen to me, if you hear me specifically, you will understand what I am saying. I am saying it from the very core of my own experience. With that, I will conclude the yamas with our life experience. I will see you again in the next principle of niyamas in the next episode. Have a very great time.